last session, we introduced a new player character, and things went really well. And we're going to talk about what else happened. So let's dig in. Last session, we introduced a new player character into our game, Trixie, and it went really, really well. So Trixie, the player, is a relative of my wife, and we introduced her. Everything went really well. She gets along really well with the party. So that's what went well this time, is the introduction of Trixie. She fit right in with all my players. They seemed to really enjoy having a new player, and she did a really good job role-playing, and which seemed to kind of spark the rest of my players to want to role-play a little bit more, which is great and fantastic. I really enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. She brought a little accent, which was different from what my other players are doing. They're just using their normal voices. I'm okay with either one. Lots of fun. We had a really good time. I feel like she'll add a lot to the party and some complexity to our party, which is good. What could be better? So our party made it to Betrayer's Rise eventually, and at the entrance they fought the two Gloomstalkers, and I totally forgot about their Shadow Step bonus action until it was way too late. My party had dealt a ton of damage, and I just didn't even think about it. I totally forgot, and as a result, the two Gloomstalkers ended up dying instead of escaping. So, whoops, that's my bad. We'll figure it out for next time. I don't know if we face it anymore, but maybe we will, just so they can get their revenge. All right, now that we've got those two things out of the way, let's talk about what actually happened. Our party ended the session before getting back to the ready room, ready to tell Ereldra what happened to her father. So they go and talk to her, and right behind Ereldra is Trixie, who is basically like her bodyguard or companion that she has hired to go on these excursions with her to go locate relics for Ereldra's father. Trixie, in the background, kind of introduces her. Ereldra kind of introduces her. They have a little bit of conversation, just getting to know Trixie. It's a little bit awkward because why didn't Trixie go help save her dad? But whatever. We kind of hand-waved it. It's fine. So then they eventually tell Ereldra what happens. Ereldra bursts into tears for a while. So they talk a little bit longer with Trixie. And then when Ereldra finally recovers, Iris hands her the notes they recovered from her father's office. And she spends a little bit going through those and says, yeah, it was probably the urn that killed her father. Like, the demon escaped and whatever else. Would be her guess, but she's going to go take a look and clean up the house in a little bit. She also let the party know that her father's life mission, was to seal the abyssal rift found in Betrayer's Rise. He was part of the original party that helped open that rift. Ever since then, he's been finding relics, studying, doing whatever he could to help find a way to seal that. And in his studyings, he has found and heard rumors of something called a prayer site to Avandra inside of Betrayer's Rise. And if they could find that and prove that it existed, it may be the link to sealing the rift. It would also go a long way in kind of clearing his name, because he's kind of been a little bit of a recluse, and people know that he was part of the party that helped bring all the abyssal creatures out in that rift to open. She asked the party if they would go look for that. They said, of course, yeah, we'd love to. And then she turned to Trixie and asked if Trixie wouldn't mind accompanying the party and reporting back what she found, because she wants to know a little bit more about Betrayer's Rise and trusts Trixie to do so. Trixie's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Of course, she's going to be paid. Trixie's going to be paid, as she is a hireling of sorts of Ereldra, but once this is all said and done, she will get money from Ereldra, and that's kind of to catch her up to the rest of the party as far as where their gold is and whatnot. So I think that'll make sense. After some conversation they had, Ereldra went to bed. Right after that, the party continued to talk with Trixie for a little while, get to know her a little bit, and let her know what was going on with them, and then they went to bed. The next morning, they headed over to the barracks to go talk with Taskhand Theylss. They had a quick conversation. It was a little bit flirty, kind of. He eventually signed the note that they needed for them to enter Betrayer's Rise. He did give them some warnings, just letting them know that people come back maimed, beaten, bruised, cursed, dead, all kinds of things, so that they go into this knowing that, you just better be ready. After they talked with Taskhand Theylss, they headed out into the barracks, and Trixie and Jimmy challenged one of the orcs to a shooting competition. In the book, there's a couple different mini games that you can play with your characters. Mine were interested in the shooting game, so Jimmy and Trixie both rolled off with this orc. They had a little 10 gold ante that they had to put in, and then whoever won the thing got all 30 pieces of gold. So we had a little roll off. It went for a little while, and Trixie was super consistent and rolled pretty high and managed to hit the 5-point ring all 3 times. And then Jimmy, who missed a couple and then hit a nat 20 for the bullseye, and then the orc actually only landed 1 shot, which was pretty funny. So Trixie ended up with all the gold. From there, they stopped in town and bought a few supplies, healing potions. There were a couple that they could buy, and then I think needed like a crossbow. There was a couple like odds and ends that they wanted to buy before they headed out into Betrayer's Rise proper. And I was a little bit surprised that they did all of this. I expected them just to head straight for Betrayer's Rise. So it was a little fun and added a little bit of time into our session. When they got to Betrayer's Rise, they ran into a force of about a dozen Auroran Watch guards who asked for their permission to enter. They took a look at the note. He pulled out another one that was matched Taskhand Theylss' handwriting, and they compared and contrasted. Looked like they were good to go. Opened the door, and out come the Gloomstalkers. We ran the encounter, and as I mentioned earlier, I just forgot about their Shadow Step ability, and that's on me, and that's okay. It would have made the battle a little bit more difficult. We also had the guards in the battle. They fought back and forth, had the shrieks. Most of the party saved the shrieks, but we had one or two that got paralyzed from the Gloomstalkers, and then they actually never regained their shriek ability, which was kind of a bummer for me, but that's okay. It worked out all right. At some point, Chozen jumped on one of them that got low enough he could jump on it and started attacking it, and it went down really quick from there, as Chozen was raging and has 2 attacks now. Chozen also threw Dmitri onto one. Anyway, they ended up killing both of them before they could escape, and that's on me because, oops, I forgot their ability. During the middle of the battle, actually, a couple of the guards turned tail and ran for the gate and started closing the door of Betrayer's Rise so that more entities could not come out. And then afterwards they said, all right, guys, now or never. They opened the gates and they closed them right behind the party, and that's where we ended. My party went in. They felt some extra historical aura or magical aura come over them, and they reached level 6. So they spent the rest of the session leveling up to level 6, and that was pretty much it. Next session, we're going to dive right into the Betrayer's Rise and see what happens. I'm really excited for it. Hopefully my party survives. We'll see. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next one.